Hello ladies, Shamban here. I am your marketing and scaling expert for private practice owners in the allied health space. And today we're going to be talking about why your team need to get out of your clients' wallets, because it is having an impact on your client outcomes, but also the profitability of your business. Now, money mindset might not always immediately be something that strikes you as being an issue if you are in the allied health space, right? But I see it time and time again with clients where their team are concerned about what a client's going to think, whether they can afford something, whether they should say that they need more sessions. They're so worried about the financial situation of your clients that they sabotage your business in the process. So I had this situation with my daughter's OT when we first contacted him and we were having conversations about him being a therapist. Here in Australia, there is something called the National Disability Scheme where all therapy is paid for, basically. He only works with that funding. And so he said to me, do you have a plan in place? I said, no, not yet. Oh, okay, so do you want to wait until you have a plan in place? And I was so taken aback by that statement, because why would I wait to give my daughter therapy until I can get it for free? Now, I know that not everybody can afford therapy. I get that. But his assumption that I would put my daughter's needs behind my own disposable income desires really put me off. And we had to go backwards and forwards on this for a while. And I'm, no, I want to pay privately. What will it cost privately? You have to pay for travel. Yes, I know that. But what will it cost privately? So eventually he tells me. And then he said, so we can just do it monthly because it's quite expensive. And I'm like, please tell me what my daughter will need from a therapeutic point of view to achieve the outcomes that we want without you paying any attention to what that's going to cost me. I literally had to say that to him to get him to answer me and say, ideally, I'd see her every other week. That would be at your home. That will require me to travel to you. It was painful, ladies. And I left the phone call and said to my husband, like, I just don't know if this is going to work. The guy's really doesn't seem to be on board with what she needs. It seems to be all about the money. Now, he came. He's an amazing OT. He has built amazing rapport with our daughter over 2 sessions, and he's going to be great for her. But I nearly didn't have him come because it appeared to me that he was more focused on money than her outcomes. This is happening day in, day out in hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of practices all across the world. You can probably think of someone in your business who has this approach to conversations around money and therapy and treatment plans. And it's a money issue that causes you financial problems, in that if you're in a space where therapy isn't a year or 2 long, those of you who are in speech or OT, it's kind of easy with pediatrics because it's a given that is long-term therapy. However, even there, you might feel that twice a week would be the best approach for a child, but your therapist won't suggest twice a week because they're worried about what it costs. That's where it impacts you, right? Because you might have cancellations, or you might have empty spots, or people in other fields, so physical therapy or psychology or counselling, people might only come for 6 sessions and then they figure they don't need it anymore. And this is where the evidence comes in, because this is a business issue, but it's also a clinical issue. There is overwhelming clinical evidence that treatment planning from the beginning, where the therapist sits down with the client, gets clear on the goals, creates a treatment plan that is geared towards achieving those goals, and outlines the time that's going to take and the amount of sessions that's going to take and the ideal frequency. When that happens, there is overwhelming evidence about the outcomes of the clients involved. Because what happens otherwise is that people come to therapy because they have an acute issue. This is true even with pediatrics. So they come to therapy. it costs money, it's inconvenient because you have to take time out of your day to go and do it. And they do that though because they have an acute need. If you haven't treatment planned with somebody and explained to them, this is what we're going to need to do, not to get you so you feel back to baseline, but to get this problem resolved and to give you a long-term solution, we're going to need to do 10 sessions, let's say. If you haven't done that, when the person gets to the point where the pain is not so acute anymore, like physical, emotional, mental, whatever it might be, now the cost and the inconvenience start to outweigh the benefit, because I feel better. Do I need to keep spending this money? Do I need to keep taking 2 hours out of my week to go and do this? Well, maybe I'm okay. They turn into the clinician about making decisions about whether they should continue therapy or not. And they'll choose not to because it's inconvenient and it costs money. Whereas if your team have had that conversation up front, you're probably going to get to session 5, you're going to feel better, but we want to resolve this problem long term. That's going to take 10 sessions. Let's get those all booked in. They continue to come because they've been pre-faced with that, right? So there's overwhelming evidence that people come for longer and they get better outcomes when they are given treatment plans. So why don't people give treatment plans? In large part because they're worried about what clients can afford. I don't want to suggest to someone that I see their child 3 times a week, even though that's the best thing, because they might not be able to afford it. It's really expensive for therapy. Like, expensive on whose terms, right? I will spend $200 on a dinner for my husband and I don't think that's expensive. Some of you will have just taken a sharp intake of breath because you think that's an obscene amount of money. Money and expensive and value are subjective. And when your team get inside people's wallets and start making decisions about how they want to spend their money or what they think is expensive or what income they have to spend, they're making all these judgments, all these assumptions, none of which are their business. It's not their business to be a financial advisor to your clients. It's their job to be a clinical specialist in their zone of genius and to tell that person what they believe that person needs to get from where they are now to where they want to get to and how they think that could happen best. Their job is to present that. If somebody comes back and says, oh, I don't think that I'm going to be able to afford to do that, okay, let's figure out how we can change this. We might need to lengthen the time to get to your goals. We might need to change your goals a little bit. Let's find a way to make this work, as opposed to assuming that people don't want to spend the money and they can't afford it. Because they don't know what money people have. They don't know how people want to prioritize that money. We could, in theory, go on holiday overseas twice a year if we weren't spending $1,200 a month on therapy right now. But I don't want to go on holiday twice a year and have a child that is falling apart. I want to sacrifice a holiday and have a child that is healthy and rounded and thriving. It's not your decision to make that for me and not tell me the best course of action because you're worried about what I can afford. And I'm saying you, but we're talking about all clinicians here. Many of you will be like, I don't do that, that's fine, I'm across this. But if you find that your team is struggling with this, I often find that the most helpful thing you can do is to remind them that they are a clinician. They're not a financial advisor. They know nothing about the financial situation of a new client coming into their office because it's not any of their business. There's a reason we don't put in on intake forms, what is your budget for therapy? How much income do you make? And it's because they shouldn't be defining factors in how people put forward treatment plans or plan how to help someone. It should be about what is going to help them get to their goals fastest or in the time frame that is desirable for them. If people can't afford what you're proposing, then that's the point to have the conversation. And the outcome of this, if you can get your team to start to see that their job is just to show up as a clinician and to provide the best clinical advice for the situation, is that people will come for more sessions. They will come more, some of them will come more frequently. Yes, some people won't be able to meet the plan, but there's still a conversation that means that they know that's the plan and they know that that is what's required and that they're going to try and find a way to do as much of it as they can, as opposed to that being taken away from them by them never being told what the ideal scenario was. That means that you will have clients coming for longer, getting better outcomes, referring more people to your practice because they get better outcomes, and thinking more highly of your team because they don't have these weird conversations with them where they have to literally like prize out of them what the right treatment plan is because the person's worried about their financials. So would love to hear your comments and thoughts on this. It's a polarizing topic, that's what I'm looking for. And most of you, if you have team, will have someone who's come to mind that finds this money thing tricky. So I'd love to hear what you took from this. I'd love to hear if there's anything you feel you can implement. I'd love to hear if there's other challenges around this that I haven't covered that you would like some support on. Drop those in the comments. Be sure to sign up for our notifications if you keep missing these live and you want to watch them live. And next week we are having a live Q&A. So this session won't be me doing a training. It will be your opportunity to get on live with me and ask your burning questions on marketing, team, and systems so that I can help you solve a problem you have in your practice right now. That's a free session, but you do need to register for it. So if you're keen to register for that, comment below, just put Q&A and we'll share the link so you can register. And then that will happen next week in this time slot. And I will be live, answering all of your questions and queries in person for free. So comment below and I will look forward to seeing you guys for that session next week.